All right. This is my favorite one. And this is
Mhm.
what I love to do. I tell people I think that my kids are so flexible, my kids that I see, because of my ADHD, honestly,
There you go.
because my third tip is practice flexibility.
Oh,
So I don't mean rock their world. Don't take away every routine they have. That's not what I mean. But it's already a little different, right? It's summer. Even me, I'm working, but I'm doing different things in the summer. So figure out how you can change their routine. The neurology shows us, the science shows us that the way the brain works is, we build those neural synapses. We build things by learning new things. So that is literally how our brain is more flexible and we get out of stuck routines, which we know happens a lot with our neurodivergent individuals. So especially again, I'm not assuming all parents are home with your kids, but I know their schedule is more flexible. So if you're home with them, you're their safe space, right? Your house or grandma's house. This
mhm,
is hopefully, their most optimal regulated space.
mhm.
That's the time to try new things.
Wow.
That's the time to say, hey, wait a minute, you know what? We're going to change the schedule today, and
Mhm.
just baby steps.
Yeah.
Again, I'm here to help, but
Mhm.
it doesn't have to be drastic, but just starting to change things a little bit will help. We call it brain stretching. I say, we're going to stretch your
Mhm.
brain today, is what I tell the kids. Um, and that will help them when that generalizes, right? So when they go back to school and there's a fire drill, they're like, oh, whoa, okay, oh, this is different. I can handle this. I've done this before. I'm flexible.
Wow, I love it. That again, practicing that flexibility, that's awesome. And so, yeah, an example of what that looks like, because there is that family that's going to say, when something is not the same, my kid melts down for an hour. I cannot be flexible. What do you say for that? What are tips for that family?
Right, and I know this is something that you have experienced, yourself too as an autism parent.
Oh, yeah.
It like I said, small changes. So I always say, like, have the support of a sensory therapist when you do this.
Mhm.
When you and talk to your OT knows your kid and you know your kid best. So if let's say that you don't use visual schedules. I have a great example because I have a neurotypical that we know of, 3.5-year-old, and
Mhm.
I just had a baby. She's 3 months. And that is dysregulating for any kid. And he's typically pretty flexible. We do a lot of different things, but it was really, really hard when we first had her. So the speech therapist that I am, I whipped out the visual schedule, and every morning before we went to like school, his daycare, we went through the schedule and we did it together and we talked about it. And then we would say, okay, when we get home, this is our nighttime schedule, and we talked about it. And have that consistent routine that you do. But then maybe, in the morning, if you're going to do something different in the afternoon, say, hey, talk about it with the visual. I know that we normally walk the dog at 6 p.m., but we're going to do something a little different. We're going to walk the dog like 6:15. I mean, that can be a stretch for some individuals. I
Mhm.
know how a lot of neurodivergent individuals are with time, and I'm
Yeah.
reminded of it all the time. They're like, TikTok lady, you got to get out of my
Yes.
but like those tiny little tweaks can
Mhm.
lead to bigger tweaks. So again, don't just change a whole routine all at once.
Hmm. I love that. I mean, even now, like I said, my daughter, she's 12 now, but even now, because she has the capacity, we can kind of talk through things, is I still need to share when something's going to be different, right? So even today, when I pick you up from summer school, we're going to go do this. And that gives her time to say, oh, well, I don't like that. Why? Ask all the questions. And normally, after about 5 or 10 minutes, she'll come back and say, okay, this is going to be good. She can talk herself through and she can grow in that flexibility because she was just given a little bit of heads up. You can't always do that. Life happens. Sometimes you just can't, and something new happens. But when you've done these kind of scheduled flexibility brain stretches, it's going to make those other times a little easier. That's just what we've seen. So.
Right.